All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of the Versus series. And it looks like we are good to go. What does that mean? That means that all comments in the chat will be addressed at the end of the stream. All right, so let's just jump right into this topic, shall we? So, what we do in this series, as a reminder, if you're new to this, we analyze, are we truly free? Because as a U.S. Army veteran myself, with 2 deployments, I quickly realized what freedom really means in our lives. I didn't understand it before completely, just like most people in this life. They take their freedom for granted. So that's why this is a very important series, because we cover what real freedom is, and we get you to ponder on certain topics. You don't have to agree with me, but at least think about it and question that which you just aimlessly accepted as truth or fact. Is it really? So, in this episode, we're going to be looking at school versus freedom. Are we ever truly free? Or is it all just an illusion of freedom? Because I'll tell you what, in my humble opinion, I don't think democracy is the best system. It has many similarities still to communism and socialism that need to be eradicated if we are to be truly free, and especially the United States claiming to be land of the free, home of the brave. Well, the brave have no purpose if it really isn't even a land of the free. How can we have brave people if we're not free? So the question is, are we truly free? Because when you look at it, we'll get into it a little bit. How does school correlate with communism, for example? All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's just make a direct comparison, shall we? School versus prison. There are even more similarities that aren't even mentioned in this comparison. Authoritarian structure, dress code, emphasis on silence and order. You guys seeing the similarities? Negative reinforcement, walk-in lines, loss of individual autonomy, abridged freedoms, no input in decision making, set times enforced for walking, eating, etc. And this is even further amplified if you choose to join the military, especially the Army or Marines. The Air Force is very lenient, but regardless, still has these elements. Even though that's why they get often called the chair force. A little bit lax version, and I should know because I grew up in an Air Force family. 3 of my family members in the Air Force. I was the only one to join the Army. So, ponder upon this. Go ahead and pause that and think about it if you wish. It's just a simple comparison. So, moving on. In school, there are bullies similar to violent inmates in prison, teachers with dictator-like attitudes. Every classroom suddenly starts to feel like a cell block when you really think about it. Think about it. So, kindergarten, what are you, 5 years old? You're tossed into school, you have to learn all these things, the shapes, the alphabet, yada yada. You could learn these things with your parents. What if you don't have parents? Well, then you should be in some type of foster home. And then that's the problem, if the foster home isn't of high quality, just like home care facilities. Then they should improve them. That's where the problem is, right? Everybody should be treated politely and have the best workers there who have really a heart, not just working for a paycheck, who's going to be all rude and nasty and not teach you anything. See, that's the problem. But instead, we just toss them into these indoctrination camps called school, which are run by the governments. And this is across the world, by the way, and I'm not speaking for just the United States. Just because something works doesn't mean it's right. We should always strive to improve systems, whether it's work related, school related, recreational, you name it. I mean, this life is about, because you don't know, you might be alive tomorrow and gone tomorrow. I mean, alive today, gone tomorrow. It's just people are living such passive lives as if tomorrow's guaranteed. Imagine if you just spent your life being indoctrinated, tossed into a school, and then suddenly the life ends. You didn't even get to enjoy life. You have to think this way in a natural, logical perspective. Otherwise, you won't develop any sense of intelligence or wisdom. I mean, look at what we have in school. Okay? We have unnecessary home projects, stressful time-wasting homework, stress from worrying if you're going to pass or fail the next test or quiz, stress, and more stress. That's what kids, I remember. I went all the way up to college. 4-year degree, bachelor's in business management. I should know. That's 16 years of school, just back to back. No breaks. Yeah, we all had spring break, summer break, maybe winter break. Look, I get it. But it's not enough. It's still the same old spiel. Gotta really think about this stuff, man. I mean, what's really going on here? Are we really that much smarter by the time we exit high school? I can tell you what, a lot of people, it's as if they didn't learn anything by the time they exit high school. All this stuff you could have learned at home or studying on your own, how about you spend half the day at a library? A massive library instead of a school. That would be much better, right? Just a big library instead of a school. We could cut down on so much, and you get to go eat lunch wherever you want, come back whenever you want. The studying all depends on you, and then have much easier tests, no quizzes. The examination will depend on the core things that they really want you to learn, right? And we should have trade schools where if you want to be a carpenter, an engineer, mechanic, whatever, hey, just go ahead and sign up with this business organization. But, I'm not, with their own facilities, because they have millions, right? I'm not here to present solutions. I'm just here to point out in this series the problem, and you come up with your own solutions. Because I can spend a whole nother stream, a whole series even, with solutions. So I'll just keep that mostly to myself, but think about it. I mean, whether it's in school or back home, children can easily feel confined and overwhelmed by too much stress and bosses everywhere they go. I mean, there's teachers, parents, older siblings, you name it. And I remember looking out the window, wondering, wow, this is kind of strange. Like this strange feeling of, and that feeling was lack of freedom. It's confinement. It's like a breath of fresh air once recess came, or once lunch break came, or the end of the school day. But like I said, stress from homework, studying. I mean, in reality, you're still trying to even get to know your own family back home. You're still trying to get to know who you were born into this life with. Your immediate family members, friends that you label friends. I mean, kids are just tossed into the schools like nothing at age 5. They don't even know how to say their own name, and they don't even know how to say their mom, dad, their brothers, sisters. They don't even know what friendship is. No, just get yourself into school. Right this way, right? They don't even give you time to even get used to playing around with, your kids' toys, maybe a trampoline or something. Something to enjoy life with, right? To know what your gustos are, what you like doing, what is life. You don't even know what life is, and they already toss you into school. That's what I want you guys to really think about. I mean, this is not a perfect system, what we call democracy. I mean, children should be able to play outside when they return home from school. No homework, no worries, no anxiety, no stress. Enjoy the younger years of your lives. But, nope. Everybody seems to be comfortable with this whole indoctrination system just at such an early age. I believe kids should go to school at age 10. Everything else they should be learning at home, basic ABCs, how to write their name, how to say their names, how to do all the basic stuff should be taught at home by parents, or if they don't have parents, then you provide solution. The government should provide some other type of service, just like foster homes or whatever. Even if it's owned by third parties. See, that's healthy competition. We'll teach your children, right? Really fast, the basics. No stress, no anxiety, because we'll get into the effects later, what happens with this current system, right? I mean, with so much stress, it's no wonder that the great majority of adults have become angry, depressed, miserable, dishonorable zombies who are used to suffering being their reality. Yeah, that's just about it. Then you even have school dropouts. People straight up drop out of school, and then you have kids committing suicide out there. You gotta wonder, because they're under so much pressure, and then the parents were like, well, I went through it, so you should survive just fine. No, not everybody survives just fine. Just like somebody acquires PTSD, maybe it was easy for you, it was way difficult for them, and they ended up with a disorder because of it. I mean, actual disorder, not some faker complaining like they have PTSD when they don't. They're well functioning. They know exactly what they're doing. They're just faking it, right? I'm talking about somebody who really has PTSD. It's a disorder, and they have a lot of difficulty functioning. That's a disorder. All right, so let's go ahead and move on here. School starts very early and ends in the middle of the late afternoon or in the middle of the day, with barely any time for kids, teens, and young adults to really enjoy the rest of the day. I mean, it's pretty much the same for elementary school, middle school, high school, even college. You might have an early class to attend to, and then before you know it's time for another class, especially if you're full-time, and then you got to go to work if you have to work, or maybe mom and dad are assisting you economically. Whatever the situation may be, it's just endless, right? I mean, I got my college over with 4 years straight. No breaks. No breaks at all. I don't recommend that because it is a lot of stress. But that's the way my brothers did it and my sister, and that's the way I did it too. It depends from family to family. To each their own, and there's plenty of people who haven't even gone to college. I won't judge them, but I will say that yes, I did learn things in college, but once again, it could have been consolidated. It didn't have to be so like 4 years. We could have learned all that stuff in 2 years. Or less, if you think about it. So, let's go ahead and move on here. This is ultimately what it all comes down to. Wasting people's lives with mostly useless knowledge. Getting people prepared to be used as slaves, in my humble opinion, to make the rich richer. I mean, it's no secret. This even adults will tell you this if you just ask them. Why are the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer? I mean, it's a story of our lives. That's the real culture worldwide. It's a universal truth. I mean, just think about all the useless stuff that you learn in school. They're like, you even heard the students mention, are we ever going to use this in life? I don't think we are. You're right. You're absolutely correct. And the teachers, they didn't want to admit it for the most part. So, yeah, it's about learning what's useful and what's useless for the most part. So many things, so many useless bits of education, quote unquote, could have been just avoided completely. And your life would have been so much more exciting and better. You'd actually be excited to go learn something instead of dreading it. Biology, human anatomy, geography, history, sociology, these are good examples of useful science. Although history is questionable, but that's another topic. Chemistry and physics are not important in at all at this stage of life, in my humble opinion. Let's take a look at this Albert Einstein quote. No, this trick won't work. How on earth are you ever going to explain in terms of chemistry and physics so important a biological phenomenon as first love? How about love itself? Science can't explain love itself. They're going to, consolidate it and just belittle it into some, oh, well, you got cells doing this and cells doing that, and then it's nothing but cells. Wow, science. How disconnected from humanity can you possibly be? But that's science, right? Oh boy. That's another topic, but it's all connected, right? What do you actually learn in school? Here's an article here. Why don't we use the math we learned in school? 2022, right? We're still talking about it. How much of the math you've learned in school do you ever use in everyday life? For the majority of people, the answer is surprisingly little. That's the truth. This question is at the heart of the problem of transfer of learning. How do we apply what we've learned to new problems and situations? As readers will note, I've spent the better part of the last year digging into research surrounding this topic. Why we fail to use the math we've learned may seem trivial, but it reveals fundamental principles of learning. Before I get into the explanations, let's start by examining the evidence for my assertion that most people don't use the math they've learned in school. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. 2022 article still talking about how useless certain things are. Yeah, learn your addition and subtraction and division, but how much time does it take? Maybe even square roots. But once you get into differential equations, trigonometry, calculus, unless you're going to use that in your job, which a lot of course, there's professions who use this. I get it. Super elevation, construction workers, architects, engineers, you name it. I get it. But for the rest of us, we don't need to learn that. It's garbage to us. It's a waste of time. It's like trying to teach a dancer calculus, a professional dancer, or trying to teach a cashier at the cash register. No, there is no differential equations there. So why waste your time? There's no trigonometry. It's a big waste of time. So to each their own. This is why there should be trade schools. And actually, in Germany, they do this. They have trade schools. It's a different education system. We should be analyzing, compared to the rest of the world, which one is actually best. But no, status quo, no change. Because, the laziest thing to do is don't change anything, right? Just accept what we have. So, wasted time on things we will most likely never need, just to justify being a prisoner at school while everyone's parents are stuck in their own prison jobs. This is the prison world, right? That we live in. 7-continent prison. I guess it's just going to be our reality until somebody finally stands up and gets a big group together and say, no, we demand change. Enough is enough. Because look at the schools nowadays, what they're teaching. Yeah, all kinds of nasty stuff that parents are actually finally taking a stand to and saying, hey, what are you teaching my kid? What are you teaching our children? Oh, now you care because things got way out of control. But you didn't care before that, the whole prison system in the first place. School should be cut in half of the time. And the rest should be spent, just enjoying their youth. Now, I do realize, because I'm not stupid, there is no knowledge that is not power. Very powerful quote. I'm well aware of this, okay? It's true that there is no knowledge that is not power, but school should focus strictly on the basics. For example, English and writing, physical fitness, etc. Those are productive things that we can use later on in life. You have to know how to write. You have to know how to read. You have to know how to interpret literature. That's very important. And also physical fitness. It should not be an option. PE, physical education, because it can also teach you about diet, how to eat appropriately, and other parts of, how it affects the human anatomy. That goes with science. And that's it. You don't have to spend so much time. If you're talking about a whole year in school, by the way, and including with breaks, it doesn't matter, because sometimes teachers will give, during your summer break, I want you to work on this project. They have to also screw with your breaks, right? They have to ruin your summer break, your spring break, even your Christmas break. Come back and you're going to take these exams and quizzes and work on this project, and stress. You can't even enjoy the holidays because, oh, did you finish this? Oh, no, I'll just procrastinate because I hate it with every ounce of my soul. You know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, you didn't study hard enough. Take a look at this. This was a prank where students turned the title of the school into a penitentiary. Look how easy it was to turn a school into a prison as a prank. But in reality, that just shows how similar the buildings actually are. not to mention how students are treated. Yeah, it's all fun and games, but it's pretty much the same thing. And like I said before, the same thing in the Army and the Marines. You want the closest thing to feeling as a prisoner? Go join the Army or Marines. Does that mean I hate my experience? No. I'm thankful for the good parts. But, I mean, they kind of just made me stronger. So, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I do agree with that. But is it necessary? No. And a lot of things in the military, too, like hazing soldiers. That's so stupid. Finally, they're listening. Because their numbers are extremely low, the lowest ever. Finally, they're listening and changing the whole scream at the soldiers. I mean, I could do a whole stream on that, which I think I will. Sadly, some veterans are supporting that nonsense, that garbage, that they're like, no, we have to scream. We have to treat our soldiers like little kids that won't listen. I mean, it's ridiculous. You mean you have to support verbal abuse? No, I want to feel like I'm a professional. And unfortunately, you have to fight for that in the military. But regardless, let's go back to the school topic. You can see the mass effect schools have accomplished by observing the behavior of people online and offline. For example, the retarded gangster mentality, as I pointed out in a previous stream, with the First Amendment auditing community as a perfect example of controlling behavior. This is communist behavior, a dictatorship, if you will. Like I said, the great majority, 90-something% of the First Amendment auditing community is a perfect example. Go jump on a panel that they have. Go participate in chats. You have to agree with everything they say. Otherwise, you're kicked out. You're looked down upon. And they're gonna pretend as if, oh, we want different opinions. They don't mean that. And they're going to say, oh, we support veterans. They don't mean that. Oh, we want freedom. Nope. You guys acting like a bunch of communists. So that was a perfect example. If you haven't seen that stream, it's the one with the communist American flag version. Highly recommend that you watch that. All right. So, yeah, indoctrination. Public schools and universities, communism in America. It's not just in America. I mean, America's a great example of hypocritical behavior because, they'll shout freedom here, freedom there, land of the free, home of the brave, till the cows come home. But what do? Complete opposite behavior, cancel culture, hatred everywhere you go, conflicts. They want, oh, you want to debate? You want to debate? Oh, let's debate. They can't even have peaceful discussions. It always has to be Satanism, adversity at every corner. The United States now is the worst it's ever been. Worst it's ever been. I feel ashamed, although I am a United States citizen, but hopefully there's always hope that maybe perhaps the very small 1% of the country, the intelligent ones, will change things around. People who actually use their brain and their heart and their soul because they still have one. They don't sell out for money. People with honor who don't disrespect others because, that's all there is. It's just a bunch of hypocrisy. Worldwide, it's different. But there's a lot of countries that are, the Americanism approach. They're becoming more and more American-like. But that's actually the good parts of America that still exist. Like, maybe music or movies, but, trying to live the good life. But that's about it. But they don't act like Americans because the majority of America, unfortunately, is ignorant, weak, and hypocritical, to say the least. So let's go ahead and move on here. All right. So yeah, this is what school basically amounts to. Almost the same as the last stream that I used with the First Amendment auditing communist community. If we have no control over what future children will learn in schools, then we are quickly headed toward our own demise as humans. In my humble opinion, people are becoming more and more lifeless with each passing day. I'm talking about they don't want to voice their opinions. They're scared to voice their opinions. They're scared to join discussions. They don't want to learn anything to be a positive, productive leader. Nobody wants to be a leader these days. They all want to be a follower and have that gangster hive mentality. That just a complete drone, a zombie. And I don't encourage that on my channel. I encourage you to speak up, have a peaceful discussion, an educated one, And if you have a difference of opinion, that's fine. Just don't act like a gangster about it. Don't start calling me names and acting all stupid and immature. That's all I ask. But that's asking too much in today's world because everybody wants to be a gangster. I mean, I've seen celebrities conduct themselves better than that. And that's saying a lot. That's pretty sad. So, all right. Let's see here. Look what's happening to businesses going bankrupt and out of business. How many people are dependent now more than ever, by the way, on governments worldwide? How little resistance there is. As I said, no sign of intelligence. That's why whenever I check the chat, I say, let's see if there's any sign of intelligence, because if you're too afraid to leave a chat remark, just to make a simple comment, what else are you afraid of? I mean, what are you even here for, if not to learn or to support someone doing something positive? Ask yourself these questions. So let's look at communism, a political and economic ideology that positions itself in opposition to liberal democracy and capitalism, advocating instead for a classless system in which the means of production are owned communally, and private property is non-existent or severely curtailed. Now, if you think you own your property, you better think otherwise. That's why we have titles and deeds. You're just a temporary owner. In the end, the governments, they own everything. If you haven't realized that yet, and also taxes. I really don't want to say this live. Just go study the truth about taxes. I'm going to leave it at that because there are literally things that are illegal to even say. What does that tell you about the state of our world? It's not just preference of social media platforms. I mean, we're talking about, you can't even mention it. There are a lot of topics I can't even talk about. And sometimes it is difficult to not say anything. Sometimes I will, though. Sometimes I will. But, it doesn't matter. It's not worth it for the people listening because they're not that interested, by the way. They don't care in the end. They just want the cheesy drama that dumbs down their brain cells, if they have any left. So, yeah, that's my question to you. I mean, is democracy any different than communism? Because after school, everything school has taught you, even if you went to college, I mean, it's all about, democracy. Let's have pride and let's learn more. Let's learn. Yeah, but learning for what? What's your profession going to be? Making the rich richer? Unless you own your own business and you're a successful businessman. Congratulations. But they're quickly striking down the businesses. You know this. All right, so government already controls most of our schools, and even the climate change agenda will control your future transportation. I'll tell you that much. With these electronic vehicles, the controls, along with the 15-minute cities that they're planning on enforcing. Yeah, people are voting for these politicians who say what? They never do what they say they're going to do. And in the end, I'm going to prove that. So let's go ahead and read this chart. 10 Commandments of Communism, the fundamental principles that fully define a collectivist economic model. Okay. Abolition of private property. Well, once again, if you think you own, your property, think again. You're just a temporary tenant. You're just the one temporarily occupying or owning something. Do your research. Heavy progressive income tax. Well, what do you know in today's reality? There's taxes everywhere, fees and fines everywhere. You don't think that's heavy? Abolition of rights of inheritance. Confiscation of property rights. I mean, like I said, if you really think that you own your property, right? It's a nice illusion. Central bank. Well, look at the main banks taking over other banks. Sounds pretty central to me. Government ownership of communication and transportation. They listen to your every word. Smartphones, computers, you name it. I mean, sounds like ownership of communication and transportation. That's why we're going electric. I mean, you don't need an EMP, an electric magnetic pulse to stop a vehicle once you get everybody electric. Nope. You can just hack into the system and stop the vehicle, make it drive to the prison, make it drive to the hospital, whatever, to force you to do this and that. I think that's control. Government ownership of factories and agriculture. Look at the farming protests, especially here in Europe. What do you think's going on? Bill Gates buying all these farms? What do you think's going on? Ownership of agriculture. And factories? Mom and pop stores shutting down every single year? Really quickly. What do you think that means? Government control of labor. I don't even need to elaborate on that one. Corporate farms and regional planning. I don't need to elaborate on that one. There's plans everywhere for much more than just what that little thing says. Government control of education. Well, that's already been done now, hasn't it? How many people homeschool your kids? Raise your hand. My point exactly. Okay, who has the time? Who has the capability? Who even has kids anymore? All right, so I think, yep, already got that. Okay, let's move on. Capitalism is just another free form of communism. You know, think about it. Oh, your parental guardian. Need I say more? Your guardian. What does that sound like? You got the keys to the cell block, right? What you call a house. Domestication, rather. You are domesticated with the illusion of freedom. But here's the cool part. You have the key to that cell block. And then you get into a box car, you have the key to that too. Where are you going to? Oh, I'm going to go anywhere I want. Yeah, but you know which places you're going to have to go to in the end, right? Come back to make the rich richer and the poor poorer. And it doesn't matter who you vote for, the agendas will be fulfilled one way or another with the illusion of freedom. Don't believe me? You haven't done your homework. The end results are the same. The illusion of freedom, the rich get richer, the poor getting poorer, fewer and fewer opportunities. So that's how school is related, is correlated with communism, if you really look at it. For a long time, by the way, not just a quick glance. School is all about teaching you to simply conform without question, to participate in the brutal game of life, also known as the Matrix. School teaches you to simply obey. Okay? What happens when you have a question in class? You have to raise your hand. Looks pretty communist to me when you raise your hand. Especially if you raise your hand towards the teacher, right? But when you raise your hand and you're called upon, that's complete control. And then there's no such thing as a stupid question. Oh, yes, there is. The whole class is going to laugh at you, even if you ask a very intelligent question that goes against the norm. Even the teacher or professor, and I've seen it, they'll actually laugh. There was one time that I asked a very intelligent question, which later people started apologizing to me because they didn't think about it. They laughed in college, by the way. It was a college course. And the professor laughed because she didn't know the answer. And then later on, the students were like, oh, wait a minute. I know what you mean. Hey, I'm so sorry. I was one of those guys. And I was like, hey, it's fine. I don't expect people to, I just wanted to toss that one question because I was really interested to see if the professor knew. I wasn't challenging her. I was just curious because I really am trying to find the answer to that question. And since nobody really understood what I was asking about, they all started laughing like, what is this dude? And then later on, they came to me and they were like, hey, man, hey, I didn't know. Oh, that's actually very important. Oh, wow, now that you put it. And I was like, hey, it's okay. You don't have to apologize. This is the world we live in, where people are quick to judge. They don't use that big brain of theirs if they have one in their skull still. I'm used to it. So, yeah, I think that I already covered that. So let's move on. And then there are countries acting as if they are still not communists. Why do we still do business with China, Russia, and Vietnam, for example? Okay, Russia's a democracy now. Do you believe that? How many years has Vladimir Putin been up there? How many years? And what do the Russians think about it? Ever heard of the Russian mafia? The Chinese triad? You think that's fictional stuff from a James Bond movie? The octopus that controls the world, the shadow government? You don't think that stuff has any truth to it? It's just James Bond, right? Yeah, you know what? Let's turn the other cheek. Ignorance is bliss. It's just James Bond stuff. So, outsourcing has destroyed our economy. Let me put it to you that much. Made in China, right? So, if the Vietnam War was all about our war against communism, a little country called Vietnam, riddle me this. Why are you doing business with China? I thought they're communists. You think they play by the rules? You ever heard of organ harvesting? That's just at the tip of the iceberg. I'll let you research the rest. Every single politician across the world never mentions the main problem with outsourcing. On the contrary, they all of them, promote this enormous problem with great pride. You guys don't know what outsourcing is? Here, let me quickly educate you. The business practice of hiring a party outside a company to perform services or create goods that were traditionally performed in-house by the company's own employees and staff. And I'm talking about in-house as far as the same country as well. Ever heard of sweatshops? Ever heard of the Apple suicide nets that they put because people were jumping out the windows committing suicide because, well, I guess you can figure it out. I don't need to explain. Nope, nobody really investigates this stuff. Nobody cares. Turn the other cheek. Tomorrow's another day. Who cares, right? But outsourcing means less jobs in your country, more jobs, horrible jobs, for other countries, the poor countries. So you want those Nike shoes for $100? Guess where the majority of that money's going to? Not the workers. I can tell you that much. All right. Oh, look, cubicles. Looks like a lot like school, doesn't it? This is all you are in the end, right here. This. Nothing but a human resource. That's why they call it human resources, human resource management. For the rich, yep, pretty much. People these days have very low expectations. They'll actually take great pride working in a cubicle. No questions asked. Yeah, this is my job. This is my life. All right. Now, here comes the final fanfare. For those of you still supporting democracy as if it's the best system ever, I beg to differ. Let me present to you, a few questions here, if I may. Let's see what makes democracy any different than communism. Let's quickly analyze what school and the Matrix has taught you. In my humble opinion, of course. All right. Leader is appointed by the party. Communism. Leader is elected by the people. I mean, if you believe that your vote counts, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to tell you. If you still haven't got it by now, you think your vote counts? The people? Seriously? Everyone eligible can vote in elections. Seriously? Seriously. Everyone eligible. Well, it depends who they decide is eligible, right? It should be everybody in general. Oh no, but they can't be this, they can't be that. Wow. That's a lot of rules for a democracy. I thought democracy was literally by the people. Oh, no. Certain people. You know, they want to make it look as realistic as possible. Leaders may use force to control. Operation Warp Speed. Competitive multi-party system. Competitive? I mean, how many multiple parties are we talking about? Republicans and Democrats. Let me see. Let me count on one hand. One party, two party. Oh, two wings of the same bird. That system. Oh, okay. How come nobody else has won from another party? I don't think there are any other parties. No, they never win, do they? I wonder why. I really wonder why. Dominant one-party system. Well, they passed the potato from Democrats, Republicans, and nobody cares pretty much. When the Democrats are in charge, oh, they're the evil ones. When the Republicans are in charge, oh, they're the evil ones. And then when the Republicans are in charge, yay. When the Democrats are in charge, yay. Everybody's just so brainwashed, as if they're actually doing anything for you. And guess what? It's the same as it's ever been. Either they literally do nothing, or they do something. Start new wars. Continue to slash mom and pop stores and chains. Hey, Walmart it all. Just put Walmart everywhere. Keep outsourcing, right? Oh, yeah. I'm so proud to be a Democrat or Republican. Leaders stay in control until forced out. I think 8 years pretty much seems like a long time. 8 years at a time, and they both do the same thing, both parties. They're going to act like they don't do the same thing. In the end, they do the same thing. The agenda is the agenda. Leaders serve for designated years. That's about maybe the only true statement for a government under a democracy. The 4 years terms of service. But is it? Obama is still involved in politics. Clinton is still involved in politics. George Bush Jr. is still involved in politics in the background. Many believe that they're actually running the show still. And that whoever's new is just a puppet. Everybody's puppets, right? I mean, come on, when you actually think about it. I mean, open your eyes. You can't just ask anybody to open their eyes, though, because so many people can't even see this. They're so brainwashed. And if you believe the news and about the presidents and candidates and all that, if you waste your precious life watching the news, I truly feel sorry for you. No offense. I just feel very sorry for you, and hopefully you'll wake up one day and realize what kind of a charade it really is. But to each their own. That's what real freedom is. You want to be gullible? You have the right and freedom to be gullible. So let's go ahead and check the chat. Hope you guys actually enjoyed this stream. I try. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see what we have. Okay. C4, welcome. Lemmy, we have trade schools. Yeah, but I'm talking about from grade school. I'm talking grade school, not elementary, middle school, high school. That's the problem, Lemmy. I'm talking about from the very beginning, kids. Like you ever seen a 10-year-old play the piano like crazy or play the violin like crazy? That's because they learned that trade to become a musician. And they can play even better than most adults, right? Why is that? Well, because they started at a very young age. Martial artists, they already have their black belt. They don't just, some schools, they give them just like candy. But other schools, no, you really have to do the movements correctly. So that's what I'm talking about, Lemmy. So when you say we have trade schools, I understand. However, I'm saying that at a very young age, we should already have trade schools. I want to make that very clear. That's paying attention to the stream, my friend. It's very clear that when you are young, when you're even a toddler, have toys. Like those toys that they sell kids that here's a wrench, here's a hammer. They're all plastic, they're not going to harm the kid. That's what I mean. And they actually are learning and saying the names out loud. This hammer does this. This screwdriver does that. Instead of watching cartoons, right? Because some little schools, elementary schools and such, they make them watch Disney movies and all this waste of time, or subjects and lessons that they're never going to ever use in their lives. That's what I'm talking about. You eliminate all the waste, and that way you only have to attend school half the time, and you actually enjoy what you're learning. School should be enjoyable, and then you go home early, and then you can enjoy your youth. Enjoy your youth. All these schools are just indoctrinating the kids, enslaving the kids. That's what this whole stream is about. Are we really free? That's the question. So trade schools, absolutely, but I'm talking about at a very young age, because if little kids can play the clarinet, the violin, the piano, they can do dance moves flawlessly. These kids are proving to you that they're already intelligent enough to be placed into trade schools, but not forced to be there all day, just a few hours. And then let them enjoy their youth. No homework, no studying, no nothing. When you go to school, that is the test. And the teacher's there to guide you, just like a coach. To say, yeah, I think your son is getting it. I think your daughter's getting it. There's no need to throw an examination and stress the heck out of them. But they should learn, of course, how to read and write and etc., etc., fill out forms and documents, their handwriting, everything. And we've gotten rid of that through all these digital devices, for example. People they don't even know how to write anymore. I'm talking about with their actual hands. So there's a lot of issues I can go over, but that's what I mean by trade schools. I hope that addresses Lemmy's comment there. All right, so C4, communism, community. I'm not sure what you said there, but mafias in every city. Yeah, mafias are in every... Yeah, you got that. Mafias in every country, rather. Maria Olivares, welcome. Big welcome. Let's see, what else do we have here? Hey, thanks, C4. I really appreciate that. This is one of the best ones yet. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I try to bring in some unique topics for all these series. Yeah, first person to have said that. 10-year-olds on pianos are trending. Yeah, that's... it's kind of been around for a long time. Learning from such a young age, different types of talents. And it actually tells you a lot about the children out there, and this is very important to identify. What exactly are they good at such a young age? Because that'll kind of tell what the rest of their future is going to be like, and then which profession they should be in. Because then there's a lot of adults, for example, they graduate high school, they graduate college, and they don't know what to do. They expect a job to just fall into their lap. A lot of these career assistance organizations or classes are like, we'll help you choose a career, we'll help you find a job. They're all a bunch of garbage, because they just have you come in there, use their resources, which is always, most of the time minimal. And they're like, okay, it's all up to you to use our resources and find it. No, where are the experts? Where are the recruiters? They should be fishing for the candidates, not the other way around. Otherwise, what's the point? What's the point of saying, hey, we can help you find a career, find your next job? No, I've even been there upon leaving the Army, career assistance programs. They don't even do anything. They just let you come inside this little room and use some computers and try to find a job on usajobs.gov. Wow, thanks for the help. That's the help that soldiers get when they're transitioning from the military life to the civilian life? That's just pathetic. Hey, here's a computer. Go look it up online. I could do that at home. So all this waste is going to certain programs, and it's just a big mess. All right, let's see what we have here. Bob the Builder toys. There you go, Maria. Yeah, exactly. That's just so much more. Instead of playing Nintendo and stuff, which they should be able to do, computer games or, Fortnite. But yeah, Bob the Builder toys are a lot more productive. Yeah, they're not taught cursive anymore. Calligraphy, beautiful cursive, like as you said, like it was just it's the Japanese. That's how they maintain a lot of their intelligence, is through writing with their characters, the Japanese characters or the Chinese characters. So they haven't lost their writing. They do type and everything, and they have smartphones and touchpads and such. But yeah, calligraphy, where did it go? So all these dying arts, pretty much, is that the future? Are we really evolving, or are we de-evolving as humans? Lots of kids running amok and not in school. Yeah, that's another problem, because if they hate school, so we have to change the school system to where kids love coming to school, and it doesn't take up their entire day, and they can just play for the rest of the day. Play some sports, go to a recreation center, wait for mom and dad to get home, and then go home. So they can spend half the time playing and learning things extra. They can go to the library. So maybe go to school for 3 to 4 hours, and that's it. The rest of the 4 hours you can spend in the library if you want to learn more, or go to one of the trade programs if they have a program to show you how to do trades, extracurricular activity, but it's educational. Or they can just go play, recess style in the playground, or play sports in the gymnasium. And then when it's time to go home, it's time to go home. But at least everybody's having fun. Nobody has any homework, any exams, no stress. Just enjoy. Then they'll want to go to school. There will be no school dropouts, and nobody would want to do drugs, because why? It's the stupidest thing, right? All these problems, and even skipping school. Nobody would want to skip school because everybody's having so much fun. And bullies, they should be punished accordingly. Time out, detention, right? I mean, that's the only authoritarian arm that we need. The strong arm is for those who don't behave correctly. But I guarantee you one thing, bullies only behave the way they behave because their lives are miserable outside of school and inside of school. So if we fix that by decreasing the level of stress and increasing the level of actual real world working knowledge, then all these problems will be solved. Just like that. You know, we'll have to change the culture little by little, but eventually it'll be solved. All right, so glad you guys enjoyed this stream. Go ahead and smash that rewind button if you arrived a little late, or watch it some other time. Hope you guys enjoy your weekend fast approaching, or I think in my case it's already here. But thanks for watching, and much love to everybody.